attitudes to make decisions. At the beginning of the spiritual exercises, Ignatius spells out 7 basic attitudes or qualities that a person must have as preconditions for entering into an authentic discernment process seeking God's will. They are the following. Openness. We must approach the decision in question with an open mind and an open heart. We cannot find God's will for us if we enter into the decision-making process with a preconceived outcome based on our self-will, biases, and what Ignatius calls attachments. That is, an attitude of, I already have my mind made up, so don't confuse me with facts. Attachments refers to areas in our lives where we limit freedom and put conditions on a decision. 2. Generosity. To enter into a decision-making process with such openness requires a generous spirit with which we, with a largeness of heart, put no conditions on what God might call us to do. This is like writing God a signed blank check, letting God fill in the amount and content of the check. Only a generous person would do this. 3. Courage. Such openness and generosity require courage, for God might be asking something difficult, challenging, and risky of us. It takes courage to give up control and trustingly put the decision in God's hands while seeking God's will. 4. Interior freedom. To make such a prayerful, generous, courageous decision requires interior freedom. Ignatius describes 3 types of people and their differing approaches to decision-making. A. The first type is all talk and no action. This kind of person is full of good intentions, but remains so distracted by his or her busyness about so many relatively inconsequential things that they never get around to the one thing necessary, namely God's will for them. Not to decide ends up being their decision. B. The second type of person does everything but the one thing necessary. These people may do all kinds of good things in their life, but don't face the central issue of what God is calling them to. They are in effect putting conditions on what God can call to do. C. The third type of person is the only one who is truly free. Their whole and deepest desire is to do whatever God's will is for them with no conditions attached. This is the attitude necessary to authentically find and follow God's will for us. 5. A habit of prayerful reflection on one's experience. How can we hear God's call if we are not listening? How can we listen if we're not praying? To make a prayerful decision, we must first pray, putting aside a significant portion of time, 20 minutes or more, on a daily basis to quiet ourselves and put ourselves in God's presence and listen to what God is saying to us in the interior of our hearts. Having these essential attitudes of openness, generosity, interior freedom, prayerful reflection on experience, having one's priorities straight and not confusing ends with means, the discerner has their satellite dish pointed in the right direction in order to receive God's signals. Possessing these qualities is the precondition for hearing God's call through an authentic discernment process.